Why did that teacher get fired from your school? Female pet teacher. She got caught sniffing a girl's underwear while she was showering. Imagine getting out of the shower and seeing your teacher with her nose in your ducking underwear. What is wrong with people? She had fallen off the wagon and was drinking a lot to the point where it was affecting her memory. We kept doing the same lecture on density in 6th grade science for a month until one of my classmates decided to ask another teacher about it. From there she went to rehab. My math teacher was a volunteer first responder in New York. She left school to help out during 9/11 and was fired for not showing back up for 2 weeks. Students laughed she ate toothpaste. Turns out she was an alcoholic trying to cover her breath. Dating a 16-year-old female student. He was also a pet teacher. Reddit. I should clarify that he did do jail time and is on the sex offenders register. It's always the pet teachers. 2 teachers. They got caught ducking in a classroom. My 5th grade teacher got caught ducking the dude in her classroom while we were out for recess. Neither got fired, but were transferred to other schools. One of my high school teachers was caught on To Catch a Predator. Geekier/V teacher that everyone loved. Knew he was a geek and owned it. Caught in a predator sting trying to solicit underage girls. The kicker was a spring school levy was coming up. Local police conspired with the school district to hide the charges for 3 weeks until the levy was passed. Someone substituted his class for 3 weeks. Yay, everyone was both devastated and pissed. The district ended the school year early. The principal of my elementary school got fired the first year he was hired, or took leave, before he was arrested. I'm not actually sure which came first. So a couple kids in my 4th grade class thought they'd prank the science teacher by pouring iodine and bleach into his coffee when he wasn't looking. The teacher tasted it as soon as the drink hit his tongue and immediately spit it out. He grilled the class and the kids admitted to it and got sent to the principal's office. The principal found out which of them physically poured the chemicals into the coffee, then took him into the bathroom to discipline him, hit him. Apparently he grabbed the bottom of his jaw while screaming in his face. You could hear him echoing through the hallway. Then he squeezed hard enough that the boy started crying. So he slapped him across the face and told him to stop crying. The kid's dad was a lawyer BTW. Suddenly cops were in the building and our new principal was out the door. Edit. Along with the kids who poisoned the coffee. I mean, yes, they were kids, but you literally could have just killed that guy if he had just gulped it. Duckers. One of the elementary school teachers at the district I went to got arrested for making his class worship him like he was a cult leader. He was totally bonkers. What the duck? I don't know whether to laugh or be shocked. This is the weirdest one yet. He pushed some dumbass kid who hit him against a wall. This one is actually sort of rather sad. Had an amazing, but eccentric, math teacher who was incredibly involved with helping students. He made sure to always cover his bases so there was nothing really creepy about him. The year I left high school, was a senior at this time. Went on to finish my JED. He was fired shortly after news an article that he had killed himself with a self-inflicted gunshot. What had happened during this period of time was a student had come forward to the administration and accused him of sexual misconduct, both of them being males, and unfortunately there was no real way to prove a negative for the missing time outside of school hours. So they promptly let him go, being a gay, black teacher in South Texas. Rough. He wrote a letter basically denying all of the accusations, but had come to the grim realization that at his age, his career was effectively over, so he shot himself in the head. Later the student who made the accusations came forward and said he had fabricated the entire event because he was failing his grades and angry. The whole event was quietly swept under the rug. RIP Mr. Ethan. You were a good person who was cut down by other selfishness. I heard a rumor that my favorite teacher from 9th grade got fired when I was in 10th grade because he left his class unattended. Honestly, amid all the pedophilia and rampant alcoholism, I like the anticlimax of this one. arrested by the FBI for credit card fraud. It was a few months after the arrest when the reason why he disappeared came out in the open. He straight up didn't show up to work one Monday. Didn't call in to arrange a sub or anything. He ghosted the school for a whole week and then tried to come in the following Monday like nothing happened. We also had a 5th grade teacher overdose on meth, but I honestly don't know if she got fired or resigned. It didn't happen at school. Our new band teacher was a young guy, fresh out of college. His first year teaching, and he embezzled about $1,000 from the band's funds. He got arrested, and his possible future career ruined for $1,000. Explained elasticity by pulling the brass strap of a girl. Another one for having relationship with a girl from 8th grade, 14-yo. One was fired for beating his wife and kids. Another one, assistant principal, was fired for sex with a student on campus in her office. Another, the principal, resigned because he knew about that carrot and let it happen. He got arrested driving through Nevada over the summer with 20 pounds of weed in his car that he'd bought in California. He had no intention on telling the district, and we only found out because a news reporter from the town he was arrested in contacted our superintendent for a quote on the matter. He was let go immediately. Sending nudes to a student. What the duck? My app chemical teacher had an affair with the principal. Principal got fired too. I felt bad for her. They didn't do anything on school property, and it didn't impact her performance in the classroom. Also, the school wasn't able to find a qualified teacher to replace her halfway through the year. So we were all ducked. Come test time at the end of the year, not one of us passed that app test. That's messed up. There are very few teachers in a given school that are capable of teaching app, especially without training. One was such an unlikable teacher they were asked to retire. One was watching porn in class. One sent someone else's dick pics to a student's mom. One robbed a bank. What subject was Mr. Bank Robber? That's Mrs. Bank Robber to you English. She was always drunk and drinking during class. She would leave us to cry in the bathroom. Wow, that's sad. He was playing his guitar for students at my elementary school. He had been warned before, but the kids enjoyed it, so he continued to play it for them anyways. One day, the assistant principal was lurking in the hallway and wandered to his classroom. She saw him playing his guitar and fired him on the spot. A whole lot of students were crying that day because he was an amazing guy. Edit, more information. This took place in a small, rural town in Georgia back in the early 2000s. He wasn't the music teacher. He just used to bring his guitar and play songs randomly on some days, and the kids enjoyed it. Had been warned multiple times by his higher ups. Why? IDK. He was a great teacher. He thought that before the break, he could play something for us one last time during the last week of school. It just happened to be the worst possible timing. While the assistant principal was walking through the halls, he didn't come back to teach at our school when classes started again. If I recall, he got a job teaching at a different school. My high school of 500 students lost 5 teachers last year because they all had a relationship with the same 15y/a girl. Is this real? Sadly, the story is that this girl started flirting with all her male teachers to get attention and good grades, and they all flirted back and sent her nudes and stuff. Then at the end of the year, when she realized how ducked up it was, she exposed them to the whole school. I still think about this all the time. The assistant principal that kicked me out school for smoking weed got arrested for picking up a prostitute, then fired. He was a wonderful, friendly and handsome teacher. This girl had a crush. Some bitch told the teacher about this girl's crush. The teacher felt awkward and avoided her eyes from then on. Girl got hurt. Complained to the principal that he was being creepy with her. All the heads, which included my father, were called for a meeting with him. He got sick of defending himself, shouted, "Duck Yole," and left the school. They fired him before he could hand out his resignation. Edit, to clarify some things, it was one of the best schools and all the rich kids studied there. I studied because my father was a faculty. Otherwise we don't have so much money, and hence teachers were dealt with very harshly. On one occasion, a teacher was fired only because it seemed on the cameras that he hit a boy hard. The parents complained, and he was fired the next day without listening to him at all. My father knew that he just patted him, but the kid was spoiled and he lied. Also the teacher was a junior one. Nothing happened to the girls. Our Reich might have talked to them about it, but IDK about that. They graduated fine. No problem. I got to know about this incident later. When I was there, I just knew that he knows she has a crush on him and that he left one day. I mentioned my father so that you'll know how I know what happened in the meeting. He just knew that a girl has complained and now they are called. Also the teacher we are talking about was every student's favorite. So other teachers were jealous and they all assumed he is very lenient and encourages us to not follow other teachers and stuff. So it might have made it hard for him to say he stayed professional always. When it's the kid's fault is the worst. Dating a 16-year-old student. He was the band teacher. He also had a wife and kid. He went to jail and is now a registered sex offender. High school gym teacher. Apparently he showed up to a hotel room expecting to bang a 13 years old, but got busted by the cops instead. Threesome with 2 guys in her English class and doing blow with a bunch of students. Florida. The one that for fired was a substitute teacher and coach of a girls team for grade 7 to 9. He seemed a bit creepy and we joked that he liked coaching the girls and teaching pep so he could watch the girls run around in their shorts. Turns out that wasn't far from the truth. His full-time job was in the medical field, where he was caught doing inappropriate things to female patients, some of whom being kids he coached and taught, and he had 2 sons in that school. This one didn't get fired, but she was at the point where she had a few classes taken from her, and if she did anything wrong, she would have been gone. Why? Well, she didn't know the subject she was teaching and would make stuff up rather than admitting she didn't know the answer. She was always mad, and we called her Popsicle because she acted like she had a stick up her ass. But the biggest thing was that she failed 2 grade 11 classes, the whole class, because apparently not one person, including the smartest people in the school, passed any tests. The art teacher at my middle school was known to be very suspicious. I've heard that he would take pictures of girls and touch girls, and adding to the fact that he called 2 girls lesbians in front of the whole class. It was just very weird. All these rumors, and he got fired eventually. I can't imagine how his wife must have felt when she asked why he got fired. Nonstop, some kid playing Pokemon Go outside school also had child porn on laptop. For the non-Brits, nonce is British slang for pedo. He was legally blind and ended up stabbing and killing his wife. She ducked a 12-year-old, went to jail, ducked him again, went to jail again, and then married him when he turned 18. Janitor filmed his teenage daughters in the shower. This was 25 years ago, so it was an elaborate rig using cameras that had film cassette tapes. Premeditated. Creepy shit. We looked through that house when it came on the market for sale, and it had a awful feel, only realized later why. He accidentally made a really racist joke thinking the class would think it was funny. They didn't OFC, so he was fired that day. Man, do I got a story for this one. I apologize for the length, but it's worth a read. So I got a job as a pet teacher / coach at a K-12 school. It was the beginning of my 2nd year and rumors were going around about a teacher having a relationship with a student. I just thought it was a rumor and moved on. A few days later we have a cross-country meet, and I have to get to the school at 5:30 AM to leave for the meet. I noticed another car in the parking lot, which was gated closed, and no one around. This has never happened, so I called one of the other coaches, and he was not sure and found it strange. I don't think much of it and go about my day. We get back from the meet around noon and the car is still there. Turns out it is one of the high school teacher's car that was left from the day before. I thought it was car troubles and decided to not think much of it. I arrived back to school on Monday and boy howdy did shit hit fan. The car was left at over the weekend, not because of car troubles but much worse reasons. The car was left over the entire 48-hour weekend because the teacher who owned the car had a mental breakdown in class, couldn't control it, and had his sister, who also worked at the school, take him home. He had a breakdown because his GF broke up with him. His GF was his student. So once the story was confirmed, the police came and searched his classroom. His classroom had empty liquor bottles in the desk and his room was a mess. The teacher was fired and that was the last I heard of him. However, the story doesn't end there folks, because the sister of the convicted teacher was behind everything, helped them arrange dates, meetups, and covered for him to keep the story hidden. She was fired a week later. I left the education world after that semester and never looked back. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.